Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Um, all right, so just a few housekeeping announcements. The Zoom will be recorded and will be posted online for our workshop, our webpage, which is valleywater.org/refill station. And as an attendee to this webinar, you'll be able to listen to your computer audio. You could also call in using the number that you got when you first registered, just in case, for some reason you get disconnected or are unable to join through your computer. And as an attendee, you won't see the option to turn on your camera. Later on, there will be a question and answer segment, and you could also answer questions throughout the presentation. And to submit a question, you are able to find a Q&A box, which is located at the bottom of the toolbar, and you could ask your questions there, and one of our staff will go ahead and announce it so that we may answer it for you. We don't really recommend entering into the chat because we are dropping in different types of links and resources in the chat, and it might get lost in there. So we just suggest using the Q&A chat box. If you'd like to ask your question verbally, you could also use the raise hand feature. It will show on our side that you have your hand raised, and that will signal us to go ahead and unmute you, and you could ask your question verbally. And that's pretty much it for the Zoom instructions. All right, so let's just get started. So my name is Robert Marmito, and I'm the Grants Program Staff Analyst who will be leading our new funding opportunity, which is called the Valley Water Refill Station Grant Program. And so the panelists that you see here today are part of our Community Benefits Program team, and we are excited to share this new funding opportunity with you and provide you more information on the application and award process. But before we start, we'd like to go ahead and start off introducing just some of our members on our team who are here right now. And so I'll go ahead and pass it on to Chelsea.
Hello, my name is Chelsea, and I'm with our team.
Kristen.
Hi, good evening, everyone, and welcome. I'm Kristen Yasukawa, and I'm the Community Benefits Program Administrator. So I work with Robert and Chelsea to administer our Community Grants and Partnerships Program.
And we do have two more staff who aren't able to make it tonight. They are Renee Moreno and Peggy Lamb, who also work alongside with the Grants and Partnerships team. Okay, so here you can see a brief overview of our agenda and what we will be covering today. We will also be posting all of the links in the chat box for information that is mentioned in the slides. The PowerPoint slides and a recording of this workshop will also be posted on our website, which will be placed in the chat. And just a reminder, please feel free to ask any questions that you have at any time during the presentation by using the raise hand feature or typing your question in the question box. Okay, so next slide. All right, and then I'll go ahead and pass it off to Kristen to give a little bit of a brief background about Valley Water.
Great, thank you, Robert. So we just wanted to share a little bit about ourselves. So we are the Santa Clara Valley Water District, now known as Valley Water. And if this is the first time you're hearing about us, we're a public agency and we are a special district in the state of California. And we are most well known as the wholesale drinking water provider for Santa Clara County. But we also manage our region's flood protection activities and work to create healthy creeks and ecosystems. So what you see here on the screen are the three pillars of our Valley Water mission. And so this is what all of our grant funding is based upon: clean, reliable water, the healthy creeks and ecosystems, and flood protection. Right. So all of our grant opportunities are administered by our Grants and Partnerships program. Part of the team is here tonight, and some of them are elsewhere tonight, but this is the team that you will interface with any questions as a applicant, grantee, or partner. And our Grants and Partnerships program aims to leverage community resources for the efficient use of funds and to increase all of our partnerships and community engagement and stewardship activities with a variety of community organizations. So it could be city, county, nonprofit organizations, schools, and other community groups. And the Grants and Partnerships program is important to us, and it's important to us to work together with other groups within our community, because we know that we can't do it ourselves, and we will do much better when we work together. So it's also important to note that the funding source for all of our grants and partnerships are funded through the voter-approved Safe Clean Water and Natural Flood Protection Program. It's a special parcel tax that was voted on by or approved by voters in Santa Clara County in November 2020. And I'll get into that a little bit more in the next slides. All right. So as mentioned, the Safe Clean Water Natural Flood Protection Program is that special parcel tax that is the funding source for our grants. And this was originally approved by voters in 2012 and was renewed in November 2020. So we're really excited to continue our grants program, and which now in the renewal includes our new grant opportunity, which is our refill stations. And that's what you're here to hear about today. So the Safe Clean Water and Natural Flood Protection Program, in addition to our grants program, funds many other important projects for the community. So it's also the funding source for a lot of flood protection projects, different capital improvement projects, water conservation, and water supply projects. So this is one program of many that are funded through that parcel tax. All right, next slide. So in the renewed Safe Clean Water program, there are these 6 priorities. And previously there were 5 priorities. So if you were a returning grantee, you would know those 5 priorities, but now all of our grant opportunities are now consolidated into one priority area, and it's priority F. And so the standard grants, mini grants, and now our bottle refill station grants are all going to be priority F. You can go to the next slide. And so in priority F, our grants, key performance indicators and what we're allowed to fund is part of project F9. And so we have 4 metrics to meet for grant funding opportunities to be available. So that's our standard grants. There are larger grants, and they're available one time a year. Our mini grants, they're smaller grants up to $5,000, and they're available year round to kickstart project ideas. We have our partnership opportunities, and then we have our new water bottle refill stations, which we'll talk about today. All right, so I'll hand it over to Robert to tell us more.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristen. And yes, as Kristen mentioned, this year we are excited to announce our newest grant funding opportunity called the Valley Water Refill Station Grant Program. And so this program aims to increase access to drinking water in our communities and also help reduce plastic water bottle waste. We aim to prioritize applicants and project locations that work with underserved communities or locations serving school-aged children and students in Santa Clara County. And as a reminder, our website, valleywater.org/refill station will be found on the in the chat box. So the information presented can all be found on our website. Next slide. All right, so funding. So the Valley Water Refill Station Grant Program has a total of $100,000 in funding for this year. We will be providing $5,000 in grant funding per awarded refill station grant application. And applications will be accepted on a rolling basis year-round, or until all available funds have been dispersed for the fiscal year. So these funds may be used for the purchase, installation, and maintenance of a water bottle refill station of your choice. Upon executing an agreement between the awarded applicant and Valley Water, we will disperse 50% of the grant funds upfront. The remaining funds will then be awarded once the refill station has been installed and with the necessary signage and logo that we provide, as well as any other required documentation that we will also be talking about today. And that's when we disperse the rest of the 2,500. And so applicant eligibility. So in order to be eligible, to apply for a refill station grant, our applicants must meet one of the following criteria. So you must be either a public agency, such as a special district, city, town, or county agencies, schools, community college, or universities, and these could count, whether or not it's a public or nonprofit. An organized community group with an established structure that can identify an individual responsible for signing the agreement and meeting the insurance requirements. And we also have 501c3 nonprofit organizations, as well as nonprofits without the 501c3 exempt status, but can demonstrate that they are an affiliate of a nonprofit organization with that tax exempt status, who may act as a fiscal sponsor. We also allow private entities such as private water district agencies, schools, community colleges, or universities, or a for-profit community or for-profit company to apply. However, we do require that, if you identify as a private entity, you must be able to demonstrate that the refill station will be installed in an area with public access. And that's also pretty much goes the same with the rest of the applicant eligibility. Right, next slide. So moving on to project eligibility and requirements. So the location of the proposed refill station must be located within Santa Clara County and must be installed in a location with public access. And public access, that's usually defined by the grantee, during specified hours within a day, just as long as it's easily accessible by the public. Prioritization will go towards organizations that work in historically underserved communities or locations serving school-age children. And so, we typically would like to look out for different type of organizations that work with school-age children, like schools or even community centers or libraries or any of the sort that meets that criteria. That's where we'd like to prioritize our awards and funding. And lastly, you must be able to submit the following documents before we enact an agreement. And so the first document is a property owner consent letter, or any type of document that authorizes permission for the installation of a water bottle refill station at your proposed location. Second, we do require a signed W-9 form. And lastly, we do require that the applicant must submit a picture of their proposed location. We also have some resources available on our website, including a FAQ and a grant timeline that are both ready to view and download. And it is on our website again at valleywater.org/refill-station. So important things to note regarding the Valley Water Refill Station grants. The terms and conditions will also be listed out in the agreement between the awarded applicant and Valley Water. But some of the important things to note is that the grantee is responsible for abiding to all laws and requirements in regards to installing the refill station, such as, hiring a licensed contractor in the state of California. The grantee is also responsible for ongoing maintenance and repairs beyond the agreement term. You could find a list of all the refill station models that is compiled for your convenience on our website. Again, these are just suggestions/recommendations that we made just so it would help you in finding what refill station works best for you and your location and your organization. So you could choose whatever style best fits your needs. It's also important to note that the agreement term is 1 year, so you have 1 year from the date that the agreement is executed to install the refuel station and submit the required documentation in order to have your project closed out and completed. One of the requirements mentioned earlier is that in order to receive the rest of the remaining funds, you need to submit a photo of the installed refuel station along with the Valley Water signage. And those signage we will be providing to you towards the completion of your refuel station. All right, and so moving on to show a little bit about how the timeline goes for the refuel station grant program. For number one, that's the application stage. So you are able to apply for a grant through the Flex Grants Management System, which we'll be talking a little bit more in detail to shortly, and submit all of the required forms as well as fill out the streamlined application process. And then from there, we move on to the award stage. And the award stage consists of program staff to review the application, provide any follow-up that is needed. And once all the follow-up is met and all of the documents are submitted, and if the application meets all of the requirements, Valley Water will award the grant and notify the grantee, which then brings it on to the execution stage. And this stage does take about a couple months, and this is where grant staff drafts the agreement and works with the grantee to finalize the agreement. And so once finalized, the grantee will receive the first $2,500 of the grant funds, and then from the date of execution, they do have 1 year to complete the project. And so the agreement execution date is the date that Valley Water has signed the agreement, and so that is the date that we go by of. And then lastly, we do have the installation and closeout part of the process, and so this is where the refuel station gets installed, and the grantee submits the following to receive the remainder of the funds, which is the picture of the installed station with the Valley Water signage and a final payment request form. And this timeline can be viewed and downloaded on our website for your reference as well. So what makes the Valley Water Refuel Station Grant Program different? Firstly, we do have a new streamlined process of administering the grants, which makes it different in a way for applicants to submit the proposal in a way that makes more sense to them and easier on them, hopefully. We no longer require the grantee to demonstrate a 25% match from funding sources when applying for a water bottle refuel station grant, unlike our mini grant program. We also provide insurance waivers for awarded applicants to install a water bottle refuel station at their proposed sites. So we encourage everyone to get familiar with our Flex Grants Management System, where this is where you could find our streamlined application. You could register for your organization as well as create your user profile to keep track of the status of your grant and any other type of information or documents that you need to submit there. All of the information regarding your application and invoices are submitted through Flex, and that's where most of the documents would be found. But if you are having a hard time with Flex, please contact us for assistance, and we'd be more than happy to help. We could go ahead and put our grants email in the chat box, which is grants@valleywater.org. Okay. All right, and so we'll take a little short break from the presentation here, and we'll go ahead and show a demonstration on how to use Flex. Give me 1 second as I transfer screens here. Okay, okay, I'll go ahead and play this excerpt from one of our team, Peggy Lamb, created this demonstration to walk through those who may be their first time looking at Flex or just need a refresher on what Flex is and how to navigate it. Let me know if you could hear this, might be a little loud.
Um, so everyone, just as Robert had covered, we'll only be accepting the refill station applications through our grants management system. So this is Flux. And to get there, I dropped a link in the chat. It's valleywater.flux.io. If you've recently applied or been awarded a grant with us, um, you probably already have you probably are registered already. So just go ahead and use that same username, which is your email. And then if you forgot your password, you can set it here. For anyone who's newly registering, you would just click this link here, create an account now. And then you'll be brought to this eligibility questionnaire. And this is just to make sure that you're eligible to apply for any type of funding that Valley Water offers. So, you need to be one of these entities listed here. Click yes. The project needs to be located in Santa Clara County or be a program that services Santa Clara County. And this is a project that is discretionary and not required to be completed by other obligations, meaning that you're not just installing this refill station to fulfill certain regulations or permits. So just click submit, and then you'll be brought here to the organization information page. If you're a nonprofit, we highly encourage you to use this GuideStar lookup tool. And you can just type in your organization name, hit search, and then it'll populate. And this is good because it'll populate the address into the field. And when we process your registration, that's what we're checking your address against what's in GuideStar. If you're not a nonprofit and you're a public agency or a school, then you'll just have to manually enter all of this information. But yeah, include your organization email, your phone number, tax ID, website, and then your primary contact information. So that'll be your first and last name, your title, your work phone, and your email. The email is what's going to be your username. So just keep that in mind. If you want to register multiple people, say there's multiple people working on the application, then you'll just need to fill out this registration again. If you have a list of people, you can go ahead and email us and we can do it on our end internally. So once you hit submit, you'll get an email letting you know that we're processing the registration. It does take us about 24 to 48 hours to register you in Flux. And at that time, you'll receive a confirmation email with your login credentials. So that'll be your email, and then included in that email will be a password link. So you just need to click on the link and it'll bring you to Flux to create your password. After you create your password, it'll automatically log you in. So let me just show how it'll look once you log in. Sorry, give me a moment. While I'm logging in, just an overview of Flux and what it's used for. It is used for you to submit applications, and you can also check the status of your application in Flux. Once you've been awarded, this is also where you'll be uploading any required reports, and you'll be able to check payment requests and apply for other grants through the Flux system. So once you're logged in, you'll get to the grantee portal. And as I mentioned, this is everything you're able to do in here. For the purpose of this workshop, you'll just want to click here, apply for a Valley Water Refill Station grant. We also have our mini grant program available, and we'll be talking about that later. later on in this workshop. But yeah, just click on apply for a Valley Water Refill Station grant. You can start your application and save it and continue it later by logging in, and it'll just show up here as a draft on the left-hand side. You can also collaborate, meaning whoever is registered under your organization can access the application. So say multiple people are working on the application, everyone will have access. But yeah, so this brings you to the application. It's pretty straightforward. Robert mentioned that we have an FAQ, and so we are going to be updating that with this common terminology, like who the primary signatory would be, who should be the primary contact, and then also like the target refill station installation date. Just keep in mind that it does take us about a couple months to award an application and to execute an agreement. So you want to keep that in mind when you select your installation date. The rest of the application is just about the proposed site, and then the documents that were mentioned earlier, including who's the property owner and if you have the documented permission to install the refill station. Yeah, these questions are all pretty straightforward. If you're in a disadvantaged community, you can use our FAQ to check your address on the map, and it'll bring you there. This document section down here is where you'll upload the W-9 form and the photo of the proposed site, as well as a floor plan of your facility, and then also the documented permission to install the refill station. You just click the plus button here and then add the file by dragging or clicking this button, and then you'll hit start upload, and then once the status says 100%, that means it's been uploaded. Once the application is to your liking, you can either hit save and continue or save and close. Let me just save and close. And then you'll have the ability to hit the submit button or withdraw. So you'll just hit submit. If there's any required fields that are missing, it'll prompt you to fill in all of that information. And while that's loading, that's actually it with the Flex demo. If you need help using Flex, you can go to our website. We have a Calendly link where you can schedule a Zoom call with us, and we'd be happy to, do a screen share and help you navigate Flex. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Robert.
So yeah, that was our little demonstration from Peggy Lamb about our Flex website. As she mentioned, we do have a Calendly link that Chelsea dropped in the chat box, which is a really useful tool if you want to meet with any of us from the grants team to, talk about your application or any other questions that, we may not be able to address during this workshop. Awesome. So moving on. All right. So here on this slide, you can see some examples of past refill stations that were installed. I believe these were all in schools. So as you can see, we do have different type of options available. We have things that attach to the wall. We have things that could stand alone. And I believe some refill stations also have a counter that shows, how many bottles or how many plastic bottles were saved. And so again, we do have a list of all of these different type of refill stations that you could find on our website, along with the links and prices for how much they cost. All right, so important thing to note, applications for the Valley Water Refill Station grant program are accepted on a year-round basis or until all available funding are dispersed. And so you could actually go ahead and log in straight into our Flex portal to go ahead and register your organization. And you could also get started on your application today. All right. So I'll go ahead and pass it off to Kristen just to walk us through some of our other grant opportunities that we are offering.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. So before we wrap up our workshop tonight, and open it up to questions, we just wanted to promote our other grant funding opportunities that we offer through our Safe Clean Water program. So the first one is our mini grant program. So as I mentioned earlier, this grant opportunity provides the seed funding to promote, and kickstart new ideas related to any community engagement or other activities that further safe, clean drinking water, water conservation, flood protection, and environmental stewardship. So this is a maximum of $5,000 per project is the mini grants. And upon execution of the grant agreement, then 50% of the funds are dispersed and the remaining is awarded upon the project closeout. And so the mini grants are not reimbursement based, so you don't need to submit any receipts or other reporting documentation other than just a final report, which is a one-pager template like worksheet that we have and provide to you. And so like the refill stations, our mini grant applications are open year round on a rolling basis. And so you can apply at any time. The website for that is valleywater.org/mini grants. The next opportunity we have is for our much larger grants. So these are multi-year projects with a much higher dollar amount, and that's for our standard grants program. So for our standard grant program, there is a grant cycle open every year. This year we'll be opening it in January and the applications will be due in March. So please keep an eye out for information about the grant cycle coming up. But these standard grants are really meant to help fund activities in our community under very specific project categories. So there are 5 project types that we accept applications for. It's water conservation, pollution prevention, volunteer cleanup efforts, and education, and wildlife habitat restoration and access to trails and open space. So there's a lot more criteria for those grants and the application process. There's more information that will be released for the upcoming grant cycle. But if you want to take a look at what we released last year, because it will be very, very similar, if not identical, you can go to valleywater.org/standard grants to see that information. And then, we really encourage you to stay in touch with us and visit our website to sign up for our mailing list and get notified about any future announcements about any of our grant programs and any upcoming workshops and other opportunities. So, all right, thanks so much. Pass it back to you, Robert.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristen. And so yeah, just to reminder, we do have our contact information and website posted in the chat as well as presented on this slide. So all the resources and information on our refill station grant program will be found on our website, which includes, a copy of the PowerPoint slides as well as a recording for this workshop. Please feel free to email or call us if you have any questions. Emails are checked very frequently by staff, but you could also leave us a voicemail and we will get back to you as soon as we can. We are here to help you with your proposal, and we'd be more than happy to, walk you through Flex or help you review it before submitting. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact us. Also, there will be a workshop survey that will be sent out shortly after this workshop. So it'd be really great if you could provide any feedback that you may have for this workshop, just so we could continue to improve our workshops for the future.
I have a quick question in the chat that I'd like to share. So it's, do you provide a list of plumbing vendors that can assist with the installation?
So vendors, or Kristen, do you want to answer?
Oh, no,
So that
go
you
ahead,
may.
Robert. Go ahead.
Yeah, so we don't have a list of vendors available on our website. All we do have is a list of available refill stations that includes links to their websites, and like the company that installs them. And so it is totally completely up to the grantee to on which refill station they choose and which contractor they choose to go with in installing the refill station. But like mentioned earlier, we just want to make sure that they are licensed in the state of California, and that they abide to any other type of laws and regulations in regards to the labor that is involved. Right. That's a good question, though. Thank you for your question. All right. So we'll go ahead and stick around for a few more minutes just in case anyone else have any questions. But thank you all for showing up tonight. And we look forward to working with you. And if you're interested or have any more questions that may come up even after this workshop, please feel free to email us or give us a call, or schedule a meeting with us through Calendly, and we'd be more than happy to meet with you.
Yeah, I do want to say we're a small group tonight. So if anyone has any specific questions or wants to share more about your organization and what you're thinking about for the refill station or any other funding opportunities that we offer, we're happy to, take some of those questions right now since we do have a smaller group tonight.
Yes. And if you'd rather say your question verbally, feel free to raise your hand and we could unmute you and you could speak to the group.
We have another question is, do you offer grants for turf installation or drought tolerant landscaping?
Yeah. Kristen, do you want to provide information on that one?
Yeah, so we actually don't offer a grant for that type of work, but we do have an extensive rebate program through our water conservation team. And they do offer landscape rebates and other water conservation rebates. Let me see if I could try to find that page, just one moment.
Drop the link in the chat, Kristen. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. All right. So I just found the page. So this is our, if you go to this website, it's managed by our water conservation team. And you can see the first one listed is the landscape rebates. And so they have residential and commercial landscape rebates and their own set of criteria. And that team, I believe they may have some other resources on the website as well to see if you're eligible and how much you might be able to be reimbursed for.
Thanks, Annette, for the comment. Very supportive of brown lawns over here at Valley Water.
All right. Well, it looks like that's all the questions for now. Again, thank you so much for showing up to our Valley Water Refill Station Grant Program virtual workshop. Again, all the resources that were mentioned will be found on our website. And if there's any further questions or if you'd like to talk more down the line, feel free to reach out to us and we'd be more than happy to meet with you. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.